Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Etheric Light Soma. My name is Marisa. Welcome in if you are new. Welcome back if you are returning. Thank you so much for being here, for all of your comments, for liking and subscribing, for supporting the work and the channeling that I offer through these videos. It really means a lot, and I'm glad that you are all here to tune in with me and just kind of connect in this space. That's all we're doing here is just connecting, and we're working on an energetic level. We are coming together on this soul and spiritual level where our higher selves are connecting and meeting each other, or nudging us to come into this space and place together. And I have some messages here that I was kind of tuning into, but also I'm feeling like so many birds are just speaking right now. So I want to acknowledge their beautiful communication with us. And as I say that, they kind of quieted. So it is time to connect here. I did pull some cards for our channel today and what wanted to come through. And I think the special part about all of this is that we get to connect on this spiritual, etheric soul level. And really, the messages that were coming through before I hit record were about the body and this dance that we all play in this body, in this physical experience. Being embodied, feeling embodied, experience being in a body. And what the experience is sharing with us, reflecting back to us. The mirror that we experience from our own internal feelings and emotions, the energies that are still alive within us, and how they play a part in how we come together or how we separate, right? The contrast. And so one of the first messages that were coming through was that spirit comes alive when we are tuned in with the body. And there's this spiritual experience between the soul, the mind, and the human that happens. And this morning I was on my yoga mat and I thought about how we come onto this mat, this space and place, and we have this very much physical experience. And how I always notice that my cats or animals are attracted to that same mat or that same space that you're on. And it's because they are so attracted to your spiritual essence at that moment. Your vibration is rising because you are tuning in with the movement of the soul expressing itself in this life, of your spirit coming alive. You know, maybe before you got onto the mat, or maybe before you went into workout, or maybe before you went on that run or that walk or that dance, you were having or experiencing a little bit of resistance. There was a little bit of, I'm too tired, I don't have enough energy for this, I feel like I just want to go back to sleep, I want to lay down, there's no time. But then you took the time to allow yourself to experience that alivening, that awakening. And so having this spiritual awakening within you is what we're all doing. We are all on this path of awakening spirit and soul within. And I thought that was very touching that they were sharing with me that moment of clarity, resonating with the light that expands, that ignites, the passion, the fire that begins to arise when we create an experience and allow the permission for us to take that recharge, that plug in, that movement that will raise our vibration, that will help move the heaviness that we may be feeling, the tiredness, the depletion into a state of, oh, I actually needed this. I actually needed this, okay? And it helped me move through that deeper, more heavy, or the sludge that was kind of disconnecting me from my essence of my energy. Okay, because sometimes there's sludge that's within each chakra, each energy center, and that just kind of bears us down. It kind of helps us experience what tightness, what tension, what blockages we may be having inside of ourselves energetically. And then on a physical level, because all of the chakras are connected with all of the organs and all of the physical body, they are the openers, right? The can openers, right? Like it's like the lid to all of that nourishment, all of that energetic reservoir that's within us. And so, if there is some type of blockage, if there is some type of barrier, if you haven't opened up your chakras and they've been just sitting there, stored on the shelf, right? The shelf of the self, not being worked with, worked on, or worked through, then yeah, that is a quest for you. That is a quest, and that is for you to journey and travel into and work with your chakras. So for someone here, maybe this is a message for you to work with your chakras. Maybe doing some self-healing work, watching a YouTube video that works with the chakras, or works with Reiki healing energy, or works with universal light to help expand and open up. Okay, so getting back to that dance, that orchestra, that song, that playfulness that we're here to live in this physical body and experience, right? When spiritual awakening happens within. And what I heard from that message earlier was that only you can find you. Becoming the witness, seeing yourself outside of the self, built on whatever it was, right? Can you become the observer? Can you become the witness? Can you ask the deeper parts of yourself that are wanting to be seen? What part of me is judging? What part of me is resisting? Instead of, why am I feeling like this? And dismissing that really deep inner work. Maybe it can be shadow work or inner child work or past life work. And maybe it's just something, a behavior pattern. Maybe it's just a past pain and suffering that's been passed down through generations. Maybe this is the belief systems, the conditionings. And so this playfulness, when we get back into the body and we allow ourselves to have this spiritual awakening within us, to aliven something, to connect with something on that level of connecting outside of yourself, seeing yourself from this new perspective, hearing all of the thoughts, the words that you're saying as you're viewing and witnessing, observing the self in this moment for whatever it is that you are experiencing or going through. Because you're also the teacher, the student, and just a human being here to learn and grow through all of it. There's so much love that came through the cards. I mean, there's so much love that wanted to really arise within the messages today. And so I'm just being playful and being guided from the heart space to really connect on, maybe there's a deeper meaning to these messages than you're actually hearing. And this may land on a deeper level within your soul and your spirit. So your higher self, I believe, this is my own belief, is that our higher selves bring us into this space. I believe that we are sent, these serendipitous, synchronized people, spirits, these essence, vibrations and frequencies, especially through YouTube and social media, They come and they show up on our feed, and we're like, oh my gosh, I have this resonance. There's this resonance with this person. There's this resonance with this symbol, with this card, with this picture, with this color. And all of that to work on the energetics, the aura, the Akashic body, right? Your field, your energetic field, the luminous field. Because that's what's meeting, okay? That's what's resonating. So you're working with all of these energies that you already are inhabiting within this self, this part of this you. And there's beginning to be a more clearer picture of all the parts that are playing out. And so when they said only you can find you, and what I mean by they is spirit, the messages, the channel that we're coming together in, is that only you can find you. When there's this deepness and you feel misunderstood, you feel like nobody understands where you're coming from, who you are, what you've experienced, or what you are experiencing, that's because you just haven't come into this state of becoming the witness, the loving witness, the compassionate observer to your experience, to the thoughts that have been forming, what you've been thinking about them. And as you dive deeper, what I'm hearing right now is that you'll begin to notice when you play the parts role, when you play with parts, and when we work with parts of ourself, we are able to meet the parts of ourself as this wholeness and not separate from them, okay? Not separate the parts from this wholeness that you are already, but just to be the bigger blessing, the bigger human, the bigger parent that is reparenting, that is unconditionally, divinely holding the parts of yourself that are wanting to be noticed, heard, seen, felt, understood, just acknowledged. Sometimes that's all it takes, is just to be acknowledged. And so what can happen is, and the work that I've done in the past and that I notice still comes through, is working with the imprints of the past generations, okay? Our parents, their parents, their parents, okay? And I've noticed lots of elder energy, the elders coming through in sessions, and how they connect us with the more expansive perspective of why we are wanting to experience a shift in the present reality that we're going through. And it may have been something that they were holding on to that they didn't fully heal in their lifetime, or that they notice on a spiritual level that you are still holding for them. And so they are helping, and they're to help shift those energies for you and with you. So you may have been connecting with grandparent energies or elder energies. And also what's coming up right now are the trees. And so the tree is such an anchored spirit here on earth. And so working with the earth elemental energies, earth, nature, they can be very calming for the nervous system to create safety, to create an opening that allows you to expand that internal view, that allows the nervous system to relax so that it can repair, that it can regenerate, so that it can release and let go of old energies, so that the space that is being released, the space that is being cleared, when we do energy clearing or emotional clearing work, can be filled with love and compassion, can be filled with this groundedness that you are never disconnected, that you are always connected. And that when you notice the elements within you, and when you notice the elements outside of you, there's this partnership, this relationship that begins to build something even more solid, a more solid foundation. You begin to notice your feet more. You begin to notice where you're walking, the steps that you're taking, literally and energetically. You begin to allow your body to feel like it can take that next step forward. Instead of always questioning, instead of always overanalyzing or thinking, or bringing yourself back into an old pattern, an old cycle again, returning. Something came up for me the other day and I felt a little bit triggered, and I was sitting with myself, and I was sitting with this feeling of feeling triggered, and I'm like, what part of me is feeling triggered right now? And the part of me that was feeling triggered was this old wound, this old part of me that wanted to run away, that wanted to hide, that wanted to just find like a safe haven outside of myself instead of be inside of myself and express myself and show up again and keep on doing it. I wanted to stop and just revert and run away from it again. And that's just been a pattern of mine that I've been noticing and that I've been working on. And so when these triggers come up, when I feel activated in my system, the first part of me that wants to do something is the part of me that wants to run and hide. The part of me that wants to shove myself down inside of a box and say, no, it's not safe to be seen. It's not safe to be me. It's not safe to have others know who I am. But the part of me that is loving, that is kind, is like, I know who I am. And so you see, there is like this playful dance, this orchestra that happens where all of the instruments of that make up who you are, who I am, come online when we have this spiritual awakening within and alivening that happens. And right now they're showing me rocks, they're showing me boulders, they're showing me be strong, be courageous, be bold. Maybe somebody here needed to hear that, and maybe I needed to hear that myself. You're going to walk up these boulders, you're going to climb up these boulders, and they're going to be big boulders for you to get up and over. And then you're going to come down again, and you're going to touch ground again. And you're going to feel all the crunchy leaves. You're going to feel all of the soil underneath those crunchy leaves. You're going to feel this moistness, the wetness, the dirt, the minerals, the essence of earth. You're going to start to hear more sounds come alive. Each time you come back more into the body, you begin to notice new colors, new vibrancy. The sounds become a little bit more clearer because now you're tuned in spiritually and energetically. Your soul is more planted here, ready to learn, ready to grow, more open. And so if this message found you today, let me know by liking, and if you're new here, subscribing, and then leaving a comment below, because I love to read your comments. And I will speak to you guys in the next video. Take lots of care.